outstanding issues that were the fact that the recent increase in the limits of liability did not deal with passengers. In just a proposal I had made like 12 years ago as to, and which was taken by some countries like Sweden and Finland, and is to increase the limits of liability of the LLC up to 250 units of 1,000 units of account. More practical problems because we don't have time, which are just some examples of this. But I would like to address now the question that we were discussing before, which is whether when the industry was faced with problems, that it was recognized that sometimes the cargo carrier had more value than the shipping. But now, with the development of the modern insurance business and everything that's going on now, the question is, does limitation of liability has a place still in today's shipping world? And liability is not a matter of justice. And I wonder, can this be true? No. And in principle, as we discussed before, yes, if you have lost 50 million and they tell you, but I have in the case of the Amalia, Dr. Lushington had said that the principle of limited liability is that full indemnity for political reasons. So we are actually overriding the natural rights of justice. So if limitation of liability is contrary to natural justice, why follow? We were saying before, the concept in the 1700s, when the loss of a ship and its cargo could bankrupt the ship owner, with the development of the modern marine in today's shipping world. And for this, I had to go into the principles of economics and philosophy, and I came across the concept of distributive justice. It said that social and economic inequalities are acceptable, provided that inter alia they are for the members of society. Therefore, if it is possible, it says, to raise the absolute position of the least advantaged further by having some prescribes inequality up to the point where the absolute position of the least advantaged can no longer be raised. So, how do we apply this to the shipping industry? If there is a loss, we will not absorb the loss. So, the importer who has now paid more for the freight will increase the price of his goods. And the retailer will increase suffering at the end. In fact, we're seeing this with the war in Ukraine, everything is going up in price. You know, and it's not the importers, it's not everyone is suffering, but the losses are passed down the chain. So the ultimate consumer liability comes into play. The right of limitation of liability provides certainty. That's the most important word. It provides certainty. It enables the respective insurers, which we were discussing before, to maintain the cost of insurance premiums. In other words, if we say, listen, I don't know how much you can lower, and we say, regardless of what happens, this is your maximum exposure, then you can calculate it. And that's why we have kept on increasing the limits of liability. Can we obtain a reasonable insurance premium? So this, in turn, allows those who are involved in the maritime industry, therefore benefiting the ultimate consumer. So what I was mentioning on this point, basically, is that right now, a cruise that costs you 800 euro is because 150,000 per passenger or 400,000 in the case of benefits. But if you tell me someone can lose the losses is like, you can get him to pay 2 million, you don't know how much it will stand. So probably we have to set money aside for a potential claim. And that cruise that costs you 800 will cost you 10,000. A can of tomatoes that costs you 150 in the supermarket will cost you 10 because ship owners would have to put aside money in the potential aspects of a loss. As I said, it all will boil down to the last consumer who will give you the right, let's say, to provide for limited liability so long as you can maintain it. Arbitrarily, we will not pay the price. It's as simple as that. So therefore, to conclude, I would say, in light of our discussion, it is reasonable to argue that limitation of liability is essential to you. One may wish to demonize the concept because there are many that are against the concept of limitation of liability. Limitation of liability for maritime claims must be created to protect a few, as I said, ship owners to incentivize them to enter that shipping industry. But now it could be argued because, as I mentioned before, if you abolish the concept of limitation of liability, chaos will prevail to maintain the certainty in the shipping industry that we have now. That is basically a very brief roundup, which basically is addressing the question you had before. I don't know if you have any questions or long with insurance company. Okay, so if there are no questions, I think we can head for lunch.
Thank you very much, Norman, for this final part of this questions, either for other two speakers. Let's thank them together with a round of applause for this message.